And welcome to the Breakin Broncos podcast. I am your host, Dan Wetstein. My co-host, Dylan, will be here, but he will be a little bit late. He was running late on a few errands and stuff, but he will be here as soon as he can be here. I'm not trying to rush him. The roads aren't always the greatest. I don't know what the weather is over there in Holyoke, so we will let him take his time, and he can show up when he is ready, safe and sound at his home. So, and hopefully, I was a good boss. I did send him the stuff this week, so he should just be able to jump in, and we shouldn't have to get weird with it. I don't know how y'all spent your weekend, but I spent it watching XFL football and the NBA All-Star game. XFL was actually pretty decent. I mean, the games were close. There wasn't really outside of the first game, there wasn't any real blowouts. There was some nice action. You got to see some fun things there. Then I also pissed off a lot of conservatives this weekend, I guess, because they wanted to defend Karl Malone. Like, how weird is that? The right wingers in America, the conservatives and all that, have done nothing but scream that the LGBTQ plus community and all these other groups are grooming our children, yet they go and defend a literal groomer. This weekend, I have spent the better part of it laughing at conservatives with their whole chest defending a legitimate pedophile. If you don't know who I'm talking about or what I'm talking about, is one of the biggest stories of the weekend was the fact of Karl Malone getting to go to the All-Star weekend, having to get into, glad hand with all of the rich and powerful that are within the NBA sphere, taking pictures with LeBron James and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. But nobody there was wanting to talk about the elephant in the room that everybody else was talking about, which is the fact that Karl Malone impregnated a 12-year-old who then had the baby at 13 that he still to this day does not claim, and has potentially been fighting the alimony, child support, or whatever else that might have been going to that child that he impregnated another child with. But yet, that is who y'all defend. This is who y'all are defending. Y'all are bringing up the rape accusations that were levied against Kobe Bryant. And I don't care how bad it looks when you see what evidence was released to the public. The man was never convicted, and the man never got in trouble again afterwards. So it was obviously an outlier in his life, and he ended up going on to marry a woman, have kids, all those great things. And while I've been BSing here, gave enough time.
What are you talking
for
about?
my guy to make
Jesus.
it. We are talking about Karl Malone is what we are talking about right now. Because I have spent the better part of the weekend laughing at conservatives defending a groomer while screaming about groomers. Like, this is the funniest thing ever. I've had nothing but conservatives come onto my Twitter feed to defend Karl Malone impregnating a 12-year-old.
For a second, I thought you were talking about the Tiger stuff.
No, I haven't got to that either. But that's another thing. But like, the weirdest argument that's been thrown at me is that, well, Kobe supposedly raped a woman in Colorado once. So why aren't you talking about the dead black man instead of the living black man?
And then he still stomped the Nuggets in the finals, or in the Western Conference Finals. Never forget that.
Right, I never believe it, but I mean, I was here for that. I was a young adult, like I was beyond adolescence when that happened. I was a junior in high school. Like I was a wee lad. Yeah, you were a wee lad with the wee lashes.
About 9 when that happened.
Right, exactly. I was a junior in high school. That tells you our age difference right there. But no, like, it's the weirdest thing. Like, I mean, tell me, have you ever seen anything like that where a group of people that have done nothing but scream about
Epstein.
We got to save our children and all of these things for all of these years, and now they're defending a pedophile? Like, they've been talking about we got to get rid of groomers, but now they're defending a groomer. Like,
that's what happened to Epstein. I mean,
right? I'm just
didn't kill himself.
That is a really weird thing.
Dude, that was the craziest thing.
It really
that's something you can never forget.
No. I know we're already down a rabbit hole. We don't need to go into another one. So we're gonna move right past the Epstein stuff, because that's a whole show on itself right there.
Don't let us get into the flight logs.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So but like now, this has just been the weirdest weekend. Is like me sitting here laughing at these.
And just another awful All-Star game, and the Karl Malone stuff was wild, dude.
Like it was a bad game. You had the Karl Malone stuff going. Like this was the
Coach Malone pissed off about the no defense being played.
Right? Yeah. Like, dude. Like, have you not watched the All-Star game for the last decade? Heck, have you not watched the NBA for the last 5 years?
Right.
Almost nobody plays defense.
If you want defense, if you want your team to play defense, go to college.
Right, exactly.
Coach college basketball.
Not happening. Yeah, it's not.
That's why I like college basketball
unless
more.
It's the Nuggets. Like the
Right.
Nuggets are one of the outliers. It's one of the reasons why they're the number 1 seed in the West.
Celtics do
because they play D. Yeah, and the Celtics, and that's why they're one of the top seeds.
And the Bucks. I think the Bucks got a better defense than all the 3 we just named.
I mean,
as of late,
I would put the Nuggets defense right there with them. Like I'm not knocking the Bucks. Like they are definitely a
they're
top
1 game behind
defensive team. I mean, that's why they won the championship, and it's why I said when the Nuggets beat the Mavericks last week, I was like, it's why I said it was like unselfish basketball beats selfish talent. And defense wins championships.
Are you talking about Kyrie?
It's the same in every sport. A lot of different things.
That was when you just said that. When you're like, I just forgot your quote, but I was just like, that just reminded me of Kyrie. You're like, oh, you're playing selfish basketball, unselfish basketball versus selfish basketball players. And I was like, ooh, we're talking about Kyrie. If you're talking about the Mavericks,
yes, we are. I am 100% talking about.
What a wild trade block, dude! If this was the Nuggets show, I'd be getting to a loophole about that.
Show up on Saturday sometime. Maybe you can talk.
Maybe we'll see. I'll be at NJC on Saturday.
I got you, brother.
District's
I know
going on.
Yep, I was about to say. I know you got some stuff going on there. But moving on from basketball, let's get at least to some football here. We're not
our
straight
football
into Broncos. not this football that we normally, but I did talk a little bit about that in the intro here. The XFL did kick off this weekend. We got to see 4 games. We got to see all 8 teams. Were you entertained?
Yeah. I didn't get to watch all the games, and I watched highlights. It was pretty fun.
I got you.
I mean, I think the most entertaining thing was watching Paxton Lynch get benched after his 3rd, 4th series.
Yes, dude, that was one of the funniest things I'd ever watched. Like, I mean, it's kind of unfair. He's only been there for 2 weeks.
True.
So, he probably only knows, the basis, but then to watch the guy behind him, just like with Trevor Siemian, when it was almost identical to what happened in the Broncos. He struggled. They said, screw it. They threw in the backup that's about half his size, looks like he belongs as the water boy. And then the water boy goes out there and outplays him.
T-Sim, man, he didn't get enough credit. T-Sim's did not get enough credit.
He really didn't. But no, I agree with you. I was entertained. Like it wasn't NFL football,
right?
I mean,
but they do have some cool concepts
in the first game. Yeah, they got some cool concepts. Like there's some things that I liked, and I mean, I said a lot of the things on Twitter that I didn't like. Like I don't, as a coach, maybe that's just what's in me. But I hate hearing the team's play calls. Like that screams.
That one was weird.
Yeah, that screams a future cheating scandal. Without a doubt. Like, if Bill Belichick is going to cheat in the NFL, you don't think Bob Stoops is going to cheat in the XFL?
I forgot Bob Stoops is there. Oh, my God.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. Like, come on. Like, you really don't think that's going to happen.
What a name,
you don't think
dude.
A guy like Hines Ward isn't going to push the envelope to see what he can get away with? Like, come on. Like, there's some really good concepts. I don't like all the mics everywhere. Because I don't need my children hearing some of the things that came through on those.
Oh, God, you remember 2020 COVID, dude? Baseball was worse than anything.
Oh, my
baseball
goodness.
That was the most fun I've had watching baseball, dude.
Yes, it was. But I'm like, dude, this is football. Like, you're not going to get 100 Phillip Rivers. Like, there's not going to be a bunch of guys out there going, gosh darn it and dang it. No, there are alpha males out there angry at each other. Like, I mean, it was nice to hear some of the things. And then another thing is I don't like all the betting. Like, I understand they got to make money. They got to have advertising and stuff like that. But, like, I don't want my 8-year-old figuring out what a parlay is. I don't want them to understand how to read lines. Like, that's too much for me. But I do. There's some.
You got them doing squares for you now?
Right, exactly. But the things I did like, the kickoff returns. I like that concept. I like the concept of the punt returns. Like it does.
Those are some things that they could adopt in the NFL.
Yeah, Yeah, I like the way that the officiating happens. I mean, yeah, there was the one play that everybody wants to probably talk about, the simultaneous catch with Cody Latimer.
That was wild.
That was wild. I mean, that was so reminiscent. Was that not of the Seattle game? The
NFC
refs?
Championship game. Yeah.
No, the replacement refs.
Oh, yeah.
With the simultaneous, where one was going touchdown, the other one was saying incomplete. It was almost
that was the NFC Championship game against the Packers. That was their comeback.
The replacement refs didn't make that far.
Did they play the Packers twice that year? I thought it was just the title game.
They might have. They probably did, but no.
So look,
but no, that was like week.
24.
That was either week 1 or week 2. When that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because the refs didn't make it past. I don't think like week 5 because it was so bad.
I remember there being a similar situation, similar catch in the NFC Championship game during Seattle's comeback.
Yeah, there might have been, but I'm talking about the one with the replacement.
Yeah. Refs. No, I remember that one
yeah.
But there was also another one where it was like same scenario in the same end zone where they were both holding on to it, and you're like, dude, like you can't write this, but they did. Scripts are real. We've seen it.
And it's like, and you still got that infuriating. Like that was the one thing that was like the most reminiscent of the NFL. Poor officiating, and then poor Dean Blandino having to try and explain to the people why he made the call he did. Like, hey, if it would have been called an interception, we would have kept it as an interception. Like the poor guy just sitting up there being the target for the hate. Like, sometimes I feel bad for him, but then I remember he's making millions of dollars, so I don't feel so bad.
Dude, when's the Rock going to come out and say that the officiating's not bad like Goodell?
I know, right? I think that would be left to Danny.
Oh yeah, dude.
Danny would probably have to do that.
The hype crap, and he's just gone.
Yeah,
that was cool too when he kicked it off.
Yeah, I mean that's all right. Like I just don't like. That was another thing I didn't really like was some of the theatrics felt so WWE.
I was gonna say you gotta remember where he came from.
Yeah, I know, I get it, but like, dude, like this isn't the WWE.
Right.
Like, I mean,
now if you're gonna think anything scripted, it's gonna be the XFL.
I know that was the thing that I thought when that whole play happened that we were just talking about with Cody Latimer, the ex-Bronco. Like I was like, oh my Lord, the Twitter's gonna go crazy. Like, oh, see, even the XFL is definitely rigged because they came from the WWE, and then we're gonna have Arian Foster come out and be like, yeah, they sent me a script 3 weeks ago asking me if I wanted to come out of retirement or some crazy. Like I was waiting for that to happen.
Right. Well, what does Vince McMahon own? The USFL?
He doesn't own any. They bought XFL from Vince McMahon.
That is right. I forgot. That was the whole thing. Yeah. He wasn't going to sell it to anybody except for Dwayne, the Rock Johnson.
Once Dwayne said he was going to sell it to anybody, but then Dwayne and Danny came in, and because of their connection, he was like, "Okay, yeah, I'll just sell it to you."
Dude,
and
nobody ever calls him
on the dollar. Yeah,
nobody ever calls him Dwayne Johnson anymore. It's either The Rock or Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
Right, yeah, something of that nature.
If you call him Dwayne Johnson, something's wrong with you.
But yeah,
Rock,
so
baby.
we talked about some of the things we like, we don't like. Did any player stand out to you?
I think Cody Lattimore was one, yeah. Just
in the first quarter, yes. Then he kind of disappeared. Like he had
I got to see some of the highlights, so I didn't get to see all of it.
Yeah,
but he had a few.
Yeah, he had a few plays.
Weekend but was such a blur.
He had to break down like what he had is he had 3 catches for 35 yards in that touchdown on the first drive, and then after that he had like 1 catch for 5 yards. Like he disappeared. Like as soon as Paxton Lynch disappeared, all of his balls disappeared. Once their backup came in, he threw it to everybody else.
Can we get?
And what was funny is that's the way that they scored.
Can we get an XFL team in Denver?
That's something we're going to go on to next. So if this does come through, obviously they're going to expand. I think Denver's a great place for them to come.
And look at all the places you could go play it at. You could go down there to Dick's Sporting Good Park. Down there, is that
go to Empower Field?
They could do Empower Field, but is
that? They're playing in the freaking Alamo Dome. They're playing in the Arlington, whatever college is in Arlington. They're playing in there.
I was gonna say but they're not playing like NFL stadiums. So I was like, that's why I think they'd go play where the Mammoth are. That's Dick's Sporting Good Park, isn't it?
Yeah, that's Dick's Sporting Good Park. I mean, they could also look at maybe Folsom Field, like go up into Boulder.
Right, you can go to Folsom.
Because they're using a lot of colleges.
DU doesn't have a football field. Metro doesn't have a football field. Those are the only 2 I could think.
Metro does.
No, Metro doesn't have a football team. They have soccer.
Oh wait, who is it that Josh
DU and
calling?
Metro don't have football.
Then who is it that Josh is calling? Josh Dover and Miles Dunklin.
Oh, they went to Mines.
Mines. There we go.
But Mines is like a high school field.
Yeah, I know it's tiny as crap, so that wouldn't work.
I feel like Dick Sporting Good Park would be anywhere an XFL team in Denver would play.
CU Denver, they got a football field out there. It's kind of small, but
CU Denver does.
I mean, yeah, they got a football field. It's kind of small. It's not like a huge one. They don't have like a football.
Well, hey, wait. Well, you don't even need to put it in Denver. What if you put one in Colorado Springs? They can go play at the Air Force Academy.
There's that too. Yep.
That's a perfect field for an XFL. Actually, that's a decently sized stadium.
That's a lot of altitude too, man. That's higher than Denver. I mean, so is Boulder. So I guess
worse town than Denver too.
Yeah, definitely much cheaper to live. Mm-hmm. So I guess that would work for the XFL being
closer to the mountains,
being paid, right? But also the reason we bring up the XFL is there's actually a lot of Broncos that are 23 ex-Broncos are playing in the XFL, and essentially Arlington is the Broncos South. They have Kyle Sloter, Adrian Killens, Sean Bayer, Cameron Hunt, Devontae Bosby, Jamal Carter, Taylor Russolino.
Oh, wow.
And Marquette King.
I miss Marquette.
Players. That is 8 players on one team, the Arlington team, that ended up losing.
Oh, that's a name I haven't seen in a while. Elijah Holden.
Which one's that? Yep, there's one that Elijah Holden. Actually, I think he was on the roster for a little bit last year. Yeah, he was on the practice squad. He never made to the active roster, but he was on the practice squad. So,
I was gonna say, but that's just a name I haven't seen in a minute.
Yeah, like he did kind of disappear after that. But yeah, even Seattle, they got a few.
Cody
Let's see how many they got.
Cody was a nice fit on that 50 squad. He didn't do a lot, but
Seattle's Broncos West, further west, they got Kelvin McKnight, Damian Willis, Rajosterman.
Oh, Darius Shepard,
Elijah Holder. Yep. Lyndon Stevens. So that's 5 guys. So with that being said, and then you also have like coaches that are there. Max Borgi, the Colorado native, plays for Houston, I think it is, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
Yeah, he plays for Wade Phillips, another ex-Bronco. So with that being
said, Wade in the XFL? I didn't even know that.
Yes, he is the head coach of the Houston Roughnecks.
That man could literally have any job he wanted in the NFL.
Hey, he gets to coach at home. That's his.
And also, it is probably you're not traveling as much. Games are
because with the XFL, like that's a great point you brought up, and I'm going to explain exactly why. In the XFL, they don't practice at the place they play. It's so weird. This was a weird thing is they all after the games, like they were all in DC, in Orlando, etc. for the games, but they all fly back to Houston, and all of the teams practice at the same facility in Houston.
That is cool.
And then when it comes to game time, then they all fly out to the different cities that they play in. So that's exactly where you were going with that is that he doesn't have to travel nearly as much. The only time he has to travel is really of any significance is when he plays in Seattle or in Orlando or in DC. All the rest
drive from San Antonio to Houston.
Right. Half the teams are in Texas.
Yeah.
Right.
It's just a couple hour drives.
Right there. Yeah, they're all in the Dallas, Fort Worth, Arlington, Houston area.
Oh, I loved Arlington when I was there, dude. I could never live there, but Arlington was a beautiful spot. It's too humid, too hot.
So with all that said, obviously there's not one in Denver, and I think that this might be a good enough product to cover. What do you think?
Yeah, I think so, and it would be a great fit to have in Denver or anywhere in Colorado that would take them. Right?
I mean, for us to cover. Tay 42 for us to cover the XFL.
Throws in another show. We can.
Yes, it would throw in another show.
And I mean, just think.
And we would have to adopt a team.
Right, we'd have to adopt a team.
So I'm going to put this out there for the Tay 42 fan. I want you all to go out, look at the teams, do your research, do a little bit of this, and then you come back to us and you tell us who you want us to adopt and follow and cover as a team in the XFL. until obviously if it happens, they get one here in Denver. If that happens, then obviously we're going to be Benedict Arnold's and we're going to trade her over to the Denver team. I'm going to say it preemptively just so that, we will defect. I'm just letting whatever team know that we are covering right now. We might not cover you forever.
I mean, we got to go with Wade Phil, right? We got to go W Phil, right? With
I feel like
San Antonio, right?
Right. Houston.
Oh, he's Houston. He's Houston.
Yeah, he's Houston. He has the best pass rush that I saw this weekend. And his defense, he's a freaking cheat code. Wade Phillips is a cheat code in the XFL. I'm going to say
he could turn us into gods like that.
Right. And plus the fact you think, I love the way his thought process is. This is why I love the son of Bum. Me and him think so much alike. I had talked about how terrible the offensive line play was before I ever watched the Houston game. No problem. And in the Houston game, they talked about a quote they got from Wade Phillips of his draft strategy in the XFL draft. And he said, I was going to get pass rushers because I know that it's almost impossible to find offensive linemen originally, let alone when they've already been picked through by the NFL. So I'm going to get my advantage of having the best pass rushers possible because these offensive lines are going to be terrible. And so he's just a genius in that fact is he's like, dude, I already know where the weakness of every team's going to be, including his own team, because he knew these offensive linemen were going to be bad. And on top of the fact they weren't going to have any chemistry together, knowing what person was going to be doing what or et cetera on the offensive line. So him stacking the defense, I think, gives Houston a serious advantage in this XFL. But Houston also might have the second weakest quarterback.
All right, sorry about
situation.
That. Mom had to grab a suitcase, and guess who she gets to meet tomorrow? And I'm very bothered about this.
What's that?
P Money, baby, Peyton Manning.
No way.
He's speaking at my dad's conference in Loveland.
That's epic. Well,
so jealous, dude. I was gonna take work off, but then I have districts tomorrow night.
Oh dang! He's like, Peyton Manning.
And I have to go cover the worst team too. We get the boys' team are the worst team, and since they have to play away, I have to go to that game. Go to Moreno, dude. Gotcha. Service in that gym is ass.
See,
can never get a.
Would I drive to Texas to watch an XFL game?
I would, dude. That drive's not that bad.
I mean, it's not that bad. I probably would if the tickets were cheap enough and all that. Good,
dude, I bet you those tickets aren't that expensive.
I'm pretty sure they probably are. Well, you know what? Let's do some live searching. How much is an XFL ticket? Average ticket's $100. That's actually not bad.
Yeah, let's just say when you think about it, that's not that bad.
No, considering that
I spent 120 for one night a couple weeks ago. So
I was gonna say $100 might buy you a hot dog at Empower Field. I know I'm being facetious.
Hey, you know what's actually crazy? I saw this stat. Denver arenas have some of the cheapest concessions out of every.
Yes.
And I'm like, really? And then we went to Vegas to go watch the Avs play the Knights. Ooh.
We might have to have a discussion about
that car. See, the worst part about that car is just driving through Kansas, dude. Getting to Wichita.
Well, going to Texas, you wouldn't have to drive through Kansas.
Well, where we went to, when from Holyoke, we'd go through Kansas and OKC.
I guess if you went. I'm thinking about from Denver. I'm thinking about going down.
Let's say from Denver. Well, actually,
straight down
Denver,
I-25.
it's actually a little bit. It's a little bit longer, not because of the distance or anything, because of the route.
Yeah, the route that you got to go through and all of that. But yeah, no, I got you.
We did that back in August. That Arlington drive wasn't bad.
Yeah, that's a good.
Well, we also stayed at a casino in Oklahoma, off the interstate, middle of nowhere casino. We drove 9 hours that day. Spent the night outside of OKC.
Right.
It was a cool place though.
Nice.
It was really cool.
Oh, I'm sure you found a nice place outside of Kansas City. Now that's a miracle
OKC.
in itself. Oh, OKC. Gotcha. Never really been around there, so I couldn't tell you.
Oklahoma City is beautiful.
I just know it's really flat.
I've never been through Oklahoma, so that was a nice city. It's you can tell you are nowhere near Kansas or Colorado anymore because it's just all that red dirt. Just
right, all that red clay just everywhere.
Just everywhere.
Old red clay, red dirt roads.
Looks like our baseball field.
All right, but I think that's enough of the XFL. We'll talk about that later. And like I said, I want to hear y'all's input. What team do y'all think we should follow? What y'all would like? We have an early favorite, like we just said. We like the Houston Roughnecks simply because of Wade Phillips, son of bum. They have, I would say it right now, they have the best defense. Next up would probably be like maybe San Antonio from what I saw, but they have some serious potential.
A beautiful city.
Yeah, and that Silvers kid, like I think that's going to be
the he's a stud.
Yeah, that might be the biggest bugaboo. He's a real gunslinger, so he doesn't have any fear. He had 2 touchdowns in that game for him, but he also had 2 interceptions.
It's like a Brett Favre-esque type.
Yeah, kind of like that.
Slinging balls around.
Not nearly as strong of an arm, but yeah, very, very similar play style.
Or stealing from poor people and sending around lewd pictures.
But yeah, let's go ahead. Let's move on from the staffs of the XFL. Let's move over to the staff right here in Dove Valley, right down the road. The coaching staff is coming into focus. We've gotten the DC candidate seems to be as just a matter of time of who they choose. Right now, it seems like the top 2 candidates are very well-known names. We've talked about them before. Rex Ryan got his second interview, first in-person interview on Saturday. Vance Joseph sat down on Friday, the day before that, for 8 hours with Sean Payton and George Payton. Is Ryan still your favorite? Or do you think VJ might steal this thing?
I think, those are the top 2 for sure, in my opinion. Those are definitely the top 2. But they sat down with VJ way longer than they did with Rex Ryan. From what I've seen, at least.
Yeah, I haven't seen how long they sat down with Rex Ryan this time. Now, I know they had a 5-hour Zoom session in their first interview. So my guess would be that they'd already sat down for 5 hours with Rex. I don't see them sitting down for another 5 to 8 hours with him again. I think they would just want to get him in their face so that they can talk to him face to face, get past this computer screens and all that stuff and get like a physical feel for him and how him and Sean and George might interact. The thing is that Vance Joseph is one of the sweetest talking individuals in the NFL. He literally talked himself into the head coaching job. John Elway was not going to hire him until they had a sit-down interview where he was able to talk his way into the job. Like John Elway literally said in the press, once we sat down, he wouldn't let me get up until I gave him a deal, and I gave him a deal. Like that's essentially how it went.
Hey, so if he could have found a competent offensive coordinator, maybe that we would still have VJ as our head coach today.
You're not wrong, and maybe a better
because that defense was balling under him still.
Yeah, well, I mean that was also he had Paxton Lynch and
you should have gone with Trevor Siemian in the first place that third season or second season.
It's also the thing is like he was a first-time coach. Yeah, he was a first-time coach, and that was John Elway's guy. That was his boss's guy. Like, you can't tell your boss no when he tells you play this guy. Now, once he played him and he was like, look, dude, he sucks, they let him go with Trevor, and he rode Trevor all the way out from there.
I feel like, honestly...
Yeah, I agree. Quarterback,
Vance Joseph would have hurt, though.
Yeah. No, I wouldn't be mad at Vance. Like,
because he's a hell of a defensive coordinator.
Yeah. I like Rex. But Vance Joseph has had very similar defenses with a lot less talent.
And I feel like he's proven more.
Yeah. I don't know if I'd say proven more. I mean,
or I meant like just shown that his defenses. I mean, from what I've seen, Rex Ryan has always had good defenses and some great ones in there.
He averages a top 10 defense.
Yeah, like that's what I'm saying. Like good, but not every one of them was great. Like some of the other ones we've seen. But Vance Joseph, I feel like, has had more hits than Rex Ryan has.
I'd have to push back on that because, number one, Rex Ryan's been in the league a lot longer than him. Rex Ryan has won more than him.
What I've seen him do with a J.J. Watt at the end of his career.
Yeah, Vance Joseph has never had a top 10 defense through an entire season. Rex Ryan has
I was going to say Denver, but he wasn't a coordinator in Denver.
No, he wasn't a coordinator, but
he coached. Denver, he had coached a top 10 defense.
Yeah, excuse me. Yes, and he had somebody else calling the plays, so that's why I don't really give him the same credit. Now, Rex Ryan, everywhere he's went, no matter head coach DC, he has always called the defensive plays, and the lowest his defenses has ever been ranked was 16th. That was once, and that was in Buffalo.
I was going to say those were the dark times.
Yeah, the dark times, but that's because he had no talent.
Mm-hmm.
None.
Dude, just look at Buffalo 7 years ago.
Right.
To today.
Name one player that played under Rex Ryan that you know of in Buffalo. Just one.
Oh, I had one at the tip of my tongue, but I lost it.
Right, exactly.
Oh, I'm so
look,
mad.
It's Grandizer.
No. Hey.
Hey. Yes. It's enough. Hey,
I
no disrespect taken whatsoever. We will take whatever you can give us, Grandizer, whether it's 5 minutes, 10 minutes, or less. The fact that you stopped in, gave us some love, that's all we could ask for. So we appreciate you coming on through. And it's really cool of you to do it while you're over there moderating somebody else's stream. So
I would still say, though, Rex Ryan is the favorite. I would prefer Rex Ryan. I would not. I still don't see that he's the favorite yet. I still feel like that there is Sean Payton and George Payton and Greg Penner. All three of these guys are involved in this search, right?
Oh, yes. All of them.
It's just going to be a matter of who they can come an agreement to. And I feel like Rex Ryan would be the agreement. But I wouldn't say Vance Joseph is out of the conversation, especially with an 8-hour interview.
I think it's going to boil down to what are Rex Ryan's quote unquote demands. Like you're being a DC, you can't have like the most demand, but I mean, he's already making multi-million dollars from ESPN. He's got a,
oh no, he is ESPN.
Yeah. ESPN. Like I think he does some things with Fox, but he's mainly an ESPN guy. Because like almost everybody has like multiple, like Peter Schrager's on Fox and NFL Network, and like that stuff happens all the time because people got to find ways to fill all the full time. No worries. But yeah, I think like I was saying, it's going to really boil down to what are Rex Ryan's demands. If he has outlandish demands, they're just absolutely ridiculous because he's got this oversized view of himself. I'm not saying he does. Like I want to be clear. I'm not saying that this is the case. I don't have any word on. I'm just saying if that is the case, you can just go and get Vance Joseph, who's going to take a lot less money, probably won't take nearly as much of a commitment, and you can get him in the door without all the extra BS. And you know what you're going to get with Vance Joseph. You're going to get a nice, steady, consistent professional that's going to say the right things. Rex, he's that emotional, rash guy that's going to give bulletin board material, but he's also going to get bulletin board material because of it. He's that firebrand. Vance Joseph's more of the laid back guy that's going to kind of sit in the background. But the thing I want to see is I want to see the press conferences with Sean Payton and Rex Ryan. That's all I want to see. That entertainment right there is all that I need. All right.
Yeah, the knock on the door unplugged my camera.
I got you. No worries. The knock on the door.
The area I'm in the storage room, like the door is flimsy, the walls are a little bit flimsy.
Hey, dude, you're good. We just call it your Harry Potter hole. That's okay. It's all good. We understand. You're in. Oh,
I have to go to the other closet to be under the stairs.
Close enough.
I'm at the foot of the stairs.
The foot of the stairs. I got an upgrade. I'm at the
like
foot.
You go like you get to the bottom of the stairs, and then there's a door right there into the storage. That's where my computer is.
That's great.
Better than having it in my room, dude. That's for sure.
I still think Harry Potter hole sounds better, but hey, that's just me.
I just started rewatching those recently. I haven't watched those in a couple of years.
Nice. My boy Trey, he actually just he just finished all of the Lord of the Rings and Hobbits books. That's what he did in December.
Okay, good.
And January. Yep, he's read those books, and now he's working. Read. Yeah, now he's working on the Harry Potter books. So
good.
Yeah. So
he'll be a little bit disappointed in the movies, like I was.
Probably.
But they're so great.
But we got to do a Lord of the Rings marathon.
Oh my God, dude! Call me when you do Two Towers.
Oh yes, most definitely. I got you, my guy. But yeah, he wants to watch all of the movies because he's already read all the Lord of the Rings and the Hobbits. Like he didn't just read Lord of the Rings; he read the Hobbit.
He'd probably be a little bit disappointed in the Hobbits. I wasn't. I love the Hobbit movies too, but
yeah, I mean, I did too. I mean, as long as you don't expect a perfect adaptation of something that fantastical, then you can enjoy it. Now, if you have outlandish ideas of it, then yeah, you can probably be disappointed. But I enjoyed it.
Now you're gonna make me go Lord of the Rings again for like the third time.
Like I've watched those movies so many times.
Dude, those are my favorite movies.
I love them so much. Same here. But let's go ahead and get back to football. Like I said, Rex Ryan,
I did hear you talk about with the Rex Ryan press conferences. I'm all in.
Yes,
I am all in for that.
100%. But instead of prospective coach, let's go ahead and move on to one that's actually been hired and isn't
Oh,
here.
hell. Oh.
Ben Kotwica, sorry, is the special teams coordinator. Your thoughts?
Obviously, I love this
obviously
hire.
You got some.
I love this hire. You saw what he did with that Falcon special teams. This is the best special teams in the league, in my opinion.
I mean, dude,
were they ranked one in special teams
last week? A couple of times, yes, but no, that's a perfect example. We were just talking about this guy last week.
Yeah.
Remember who we were talking about? Younghoe Koo. Guess who's the one that fixed Younghoe Koo?
Our boy.
This guy, Kotwica.
He's our boy now, dude. We love this guy.
Yes, this guy, and not for just that reason, but I mean, I will give you every reason that you should love this
coordinator.
Man. And not just, I mean, just his life story. This man is a multi-time deployment to the Iraq War. He is a veteran. He actually fought. This is not just, he was a team captain, not just played, was a team captain for Army from 93 to 96.
His story is fantastic. I read up on it.
Yeah, he's got additional missions in Bosnia, Herzegovina, Korea, and like I said, multiple tours in Iraq. He's coached. He started out coaching with the New York Jets. Then that was his first special teams coordinator position. Then he moved to the Redskins, which he then turned into one of the top units in the league. Then he went to the Falcons, as we were just talking about.
He was in Washington.
Yep, he was in Washington with Jay Gruden. That's who the head coach was. And think about that. All of these teams, like he had the top special teams on bad teams.
Now imagine what he can do with a team
won
that's
more than 6 games. Yeah. He didn't have a team win more than 6 games. So you're kicking and punting all the time. And he had a punter, Tress Way, who
is an
animal. On a 4-12 team, this guy did not have a single touchback. Not one in an entire season. I've never seen that before.
I've never that deserves I'm not saying the punter deserves a spot in the Hall of Fame, which if he keeps it up, we can get into that.
Tressway's retired.
Or Tressway, yeah. I mean, but that's what I'm saying. Like, we could see him in the Hall of Fame, but not really. I didn't mean to say we could see more, but
he has the stats to be considered an all-time punter. And Tressway's a beast, dude.
But I mean, imagine what he can do now with the Brandon McManus, a Montrell Washington, everybody.
Yes. Yeah, the kicker, Corliss Waitman.
You don't even need to worry about Waitman. That kid has a leg. But imagine he had a very good season. Now imagine what he can do under him.
Right, with a guy that can teach you how he taught Tress Way to not kick it in the end zone. That's still. This wasn't like a guy that just punted a couple of times in the season.
Right.
He punted for over 3,500 yards.
This guy's punting at least every other series.
Right. He never got a single bad bounce. Nothing in an entire season underneath.
There are special punters like that.
Yeah, his kickers average over 91% on field goals and 97% on extra point tries. And again, this is a guy that was handed a broken kicker in Younghoe Koo and kept those numbers, actually made them better. Younghoe Koo might be the best kicker he's ever had. And he, again, took him from a broken YouTube
and Wei
star.
Koo was one of the best kickers in the league last year, too.
Oh, he was a Pro Bowler, an All-Pro.
Yeah.
On a bad team.
who else is up there with him for kickers? Is Butker and McPherson, maybe?
Probably. I think that's a pretty good trio.
Butker's a hell of a kicker, dude.
Yeah. Outside of a few hiccups he had about the middle of this season, he's been one of the more productive kickers. Yeah. And Evan McPherson. Evan McPherson might be the most entertaining kicker in the league.
Definitely.
He's just funny. He's the guy.
Look what he did last year.
I guess we're going to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Right
and the divisional round before. Against Tennessee.
Yeah. Guess we're going on to the next round.
That was one of the most fun years.
How confident do you have to be in yourself?
Right. As a rookie too. But
I think kicker that got drafted, bro. You have to perform. Right? You were drafted. I think they drafted him the 3rd or 4th. It was high round pick for a kicker.
Yeah.
Yeah. Normally kickers don't get picked until the 6th or 7th, or they're just undrafted. Most of them.
That was
90% of kickers and punters never got drafted.
There's no need to. You just got a plethora of them in free agency.
The last
there's no need to waste a draft pick.
Kicker of course, it was the Raiders that did it. Sebastian Janikowski, Seabass. That was the last kicker picked in the first round,
and
that
understandably
was
so.
Yeah, and that was almost 30 years. I still don't understand it. I don't. You can't.
But
you can't explain that to me.
Hey,
other
nobody
than
else
being
got
the
him.
Raiders and Al Davis. Like, yeah,
Al Davis had some wild ideas, man.
Bro, I'm saying again.
Hey, he was fine on training camps in Greeley, dude. Who told us that story? Was that Andy?
Andy Lindahl. Yep.
Andy Lindahl
was that Andy?
Talked
about there was a office that stayed vacant the entire year, right across the way from the Broncos practice facility.
Because where did they practice in Greeley? Was it by UNC?
Greeley. Yeah, it was the college there. I think it was. I'm pretty sure it was UNC. Was where they used to have a training camp. Like almost all NFL teams back in the day. I know everybody's used to. I know all these young kids are all used to these teams having their facilities in their city, but it wasn't that way up until about 15 years ago.
And you've heard stories like Pat McAfee talks about. They drove like hours away to a small college to go to training camps in Indy.
Yep. Yeah, on purpose, because they wanted to break the pros down, be like, hey, look, remember where you came from
Dude,
and all that stuff.
That's got to be the most demoralizing thing. You're walking in there a millionaire. No, you're on top of the world. You probably came off a great season. He's like, go get in your dorm. You got a roommate.
Right, exactly. We got 5 people in here. That's what's up, guys. We appreciate you. Make sure you hit that like button. We appreciate all that love that you give. It's free for you, but priceless for us.
I'm gonna try and get this plugged in now. We're at a break.
All right, there you go. But yeah, Kotwica. I really hope I'm saying his name. I'm pretty sure.
I forgot how to pronounce it. I heard it a couple of times. Like it took me a while to say Albert Okuwebunam, and people still mess it up. He's been in the league 3 years, and they can't say it.
I feel like this is like my Demarie Crockett. Like I had so much.
Demarie Crockett.
Yeah, I was so hard, and then I don't get the guy's name right until he gets cut. Like I felt so.
We just kept calling him Damari, didn't we?
Yeah, I know. I just came up with some name for, and then I'm like Damar, and then I'm talking about him being cut. I say his name perfectly, and I'm like, bro, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
We waited until you got cut. Like
right. Like I promise I didn't wait for that. Like that was not my intention.
No, screw you, man. We waited to say your name until you got cut.
Right. I felt so bad. But Kotwica coming in, special teams I think are going to be on point. Probably the best special teams we've seen since Mike Shanahan was in town. But the one thing that's really up in the air is who the offensive coordinator is. They thought they had their guy in Ronald Curry, but he backed out at the last minute and decided to stay in New Orleans. So,
and I can't blame him.
Is this concerning, or do we just need to let Sean Payton do his thing because it doesn't really matter who it is?
You just gotta let Sean P do his thing, baby. You know, you gotta let him do his thing, because I mean, he's calling plays anyways, right? It's like you got to think about that. He's calling plays anyways, but sure, the OC is a big part of building the offense. Like he's a part of it. He's not.
Yeah, he's part of the game planning. He'll
do planning, schemes.
That's why, to me, I feel like just get another positional coach.
Right. Yeah. You just bring in somebody, give him the title.
Right. Or even Zach Azzani. Like give him a promotion from wide receivers coach and make him the OC. It doesn't really matter here.
It doesn't.
Like, that's the thing that I want to get through.
And you can give somebody some help. And who knows? Whoever this OC comes out could be calling plays somewhere else, like an Eric Bieniemy type. I'm glad he finally got his shot.
Yeah, and how about the fact that we nailed the place? Like you brought it up, and we both agreed. Ron Rivera was the perfect place. Looks like EB thought the exact same thing. Get yourself with another coach of color. He gets to call the plays on offense because Ron Rivera ain't calling no damn plays on offense.
And who was their OC before? I forgot who their OC was before.
I want to say, wasn't it Schottenheimer's son?
Oh, I'm pretty sure it was Marty Schottenheimer's son.
Oh, no. Lombardi. That's right.
Oh,
Joe Lombardi.
Joe Lombardi. Schottenheimer's in he's in Seattle.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's where
he's Pete Carroll's OC.
Yeah. I remember Lombardi now because when he got fired, everybody was talking about him coming over because he used to coach underneath Sean Payton.
Schottenheimer also was under Rex Ryan there in New York.
New York. Yep. He was the offense. You are correct. He was the offensive coordinator that
Schottenheimer's not leaving Seattle anytime soon.
Right. Yeah. That turned Mark Sanchez into back-to-back conference championship quarterbacks. Like, that's still crazy to me to think that.
Look what he just did with Geno Smith.
Mark Sanchez, right? Took Mark Sanchez to back-to-back in our AFC championship game.
That's the wildest thing, dude.
That is one of the wilder things
Brady
ever.
One year, beat Money to the next. Like,
yeah, I think we can both agree, like, everybody just needs to calm down and stop worrying about who the OC is, because it does not matter. And another question I saw is, like, people worrying, like, why are they hiring all these offensive assistants, talking about the offensive line coach that we have, the quality control coach, etc.
Strength and conditioning coach was a great hire too, by the way.
Right. Yes, it was. And that they don't understand why they weren't hiring an offensive coordinator to fill out his squad. Well, that's because it's not the offensive coordinator's squad. Like, I don't know how many times I have to tell this to these people here in Broncos country. It is not anybody else's squad but Sean Payton. Sean Payton runs the show on offense. Period. There is no, it's not even close to what Eric Bieniemy got with Andy Reid. Like, that would be a shock to think that Sean would ever let anybody call a play. Because what people don't realize is, yes, Andy Reid made the decision on what play was called. Eric Bieniemy was the guy in Patrick Mahomes' ear. He was the one telling him the plays.
I would have loved to see Outen stay. I honestly wouldn't think that would hurt under a Sean Payton. He's not calling plays again.
I mean, yeah, it would have been the exact same situation he was in last year.
But then we saw the flash of what he
did the last two games. Yeah, the last two games where the Broncos had the best offense they had all year. So
you go from Hackett.
Obviously got a legit offensive mind. So yeah,
you go from
Hackett
to Sean Payton.
Right. Talk about upgrades, man. We're talking about like 15 upgrades up.
But that's like a perfect opportunity to sit under, get yourself experience again, like keep getting experience, find a job elsewhere that could turn into an OC calling plays into a head coaching job. I feel like an Outen would be a perfect, just stay as OC. Guys already know him. They got a feel for him later in the season, like we definitely saw those last two games. It wouldn't hurt. I wouldn't hate that. That would be an ideal.
I wouldn't have been mad at all.
They can't.
Unfortunately,
anybody else.
Yeah, unfortunately, he's already signed a contract elsewhere, so
he's off the table. I would have loved to.
I wouldn't have been mad. No, I wouldn't have been mad at it at all. Like, him being able to tutelage underneath Sean Payton, I think that would have been a great learning experience for him. Mm-hmm. And with him being of the paler complexion, it wouldn't hurt him the way that it does Eric Bieniemy. So, hey, why not? But I digress. I will go ahead and I will stay on this hill and I will die on this hill. It does not matter who the OC is. People calm down. So
you can be
let's move on to something that does matter, and that is who is on the trading block. All this bluster, all this craziness going around about who might get traded in Dove Valley. Seems like the consensus is it's going to be Garrett Bowles. It's kind of your guy. I know you really like him.
I do like Garrett Bowles, especially after the turnaround. You heard me talk about that man giving him praise when he was bad.
Yes, sir. Yes, I think we all are under the understanding of exactly where Dylan stands.
And that was well before we were doing this show. That was the Blitz, if we're going to call it a throwback.
Right, we want to throw all the way back, all the way to CMS. But should he be traded?
I want to say no. I'm going to say no because his production from 2020 definitely dropped off. But when he was out on the field, Russell wasn't getting hit from the left side. That was the one thing for me. He was not getting hit from the left side. And he didn't get hit from the left side much either after Garrett went down, per se. But I would love to see him. Sure, you could get some money back from that contract if you do trade him. But for now, at this moment right now, unless we find something out in the future, I'd say keep him.
Yeah. My thing is, if you can get a willing trade partner that will give you at least a second and a third, you do it. If they're going to give you a first rounder, you better
dude, if you get a first rounder for Garrett Bowles, bye-bye.
Yes, bye-bye. Exactly. And at the very least, I say give him a chance to restructure. If he's willing to restructure and give us some cap relief,
I bet you he would.
And you can't find a better replacement, keep him. But if he gets, his panties in a wad or whatever, and he decides he doesn't want to take the guaranteed money now instead of the possible money later, doesn't make any sense. But hey, some people are that way.
And I definitely could see him restructuring a contract because he loves Denver. He wants to stay here.
I mean, he's from Utah. He loves, mountains. Like everything is perfect for him here.
Right.
I 100% agree.
He wants to win. If you want to win, anybody will give up.
That's the thing. He wants to win. That's where I was going. Thank you for bringing that up. He wants to win. He's getting older. He was already old. I know 20.
He was like
20, saying 25 is old is something, but you got to think of it relatively
NFL
in football.
Yeah.
Most rookies come in at 19 to 21. He was 25.
I thought it was 20 to 21.
It depends. Like every once in a while, a 19-year-old sneaks in there. That's why I give it's the bare minimum.
Don't you have to play 2 years of college, or am I tripping?
You had to play 3, but there are some kids that enroll early, like Okoye from back in the day, the first rounder for Houston. Yep. He enrolled when he was 17, graduated when he was 19, and drafted when he was 19. He was the youngest player ever drafted.
There are some of those in there.
19 in like 4 days. Like he was like barely 19. But yeah, it's a very rare case. But again, I'm in a data analytics class. And this is what happens, okay? When they teach you these things, you go all the way from the bare bottom to the bare top.
So, I mean, you still see some like it's like the NBA, dude. It was like, what was that Kansas City? Oh, not Kansas City, Oklahoma City team a couple years ago, where everybody on their roster was younger than the Baylor national championship team that year.
Yeah, insane.
Like that's insane. Everybody on a college team is older than the starting 5 for the Oklahoma City Thunder.
100% correct.
Blows
yeah,
my mind.
It was insane. But yeah, it is mind blowing. But back to Garrett Bowles again. If he'll restructure and you can get him on a cheap deal to make him prove that he can recapture that walk year form where he was an All Pro, all for it, whatever. But
prove yourself again to get that bag.
So many possibilities out there in free agency and the draft. An $18 to $20 million cap hit for a guy that's had one good season in his almost decade-long career. I'm seeing what I can get for him. Especially
you definitely see options.
The injury he just had could be something that changes him permanently. The number one thing you never want with a big guy, like we can talk about this as big guys, you never want ankle and knee issues as a big guy. Those things will destroy, they will debilitate you as a big guy with all that weight on there. So that nasty ankle injury he had, like they're going to have better medicals than what we will ever see on him. So if there's any chance that injury might change him and change some of the athleticism that allowed him to get away with the technique issues that he has still not figured out this far into his career.
And with the new O-line coach, I feel like he could. Like that's what I want to say.
It's possible. Yeah,
this got to keep him. I want to see him at least through training camp, at least.
Yeah, and Zach Strife has such a similar story to him when it comes to growing up and everything, and being an offensive tackle under Sean Payton. He can tell him exactly what Sean is looking for, exactly what type of technique.
It'd be like the Munchak feel.
Yeah, like. Zach Strife's not on the level of Munchak yet, but I think he has the potential to get there.
But coaching styles, from what I've read, very similar.
Very similar. And no, he doesn't have the exact pedigree of Munchak. He's not a Hall of Fame offensive line, but he was a very, very, very good offensive lineman.
The Super Bowl team.
For many years.
He's a Super Bowl winning offensive lineman.
Exactly. He was the right tackle on that Super Bowl winning team. He was the right tackle that handled Dwight Freeney and did not allow Drew Brees to get touched in the Super Bowl.
Oh, that's another name I haven't heard in a while too.
Right,
Dwight
there you
Freeney.
go.
That guy. If we're gonna talk about dogs, man,
right?
That guy was a dog.
But no, I don't want to talk about dogs from years past. I want to talk about a dog from today. And like we said, we just said Garrett Bowles, possibility,
right?
But the other
name you look at every option. I will say,
but the other name that's got me pausing a little bit is Jerry Jeudy. That's the next name that everybody's trying to shop because he is, I will absolutely agree, he is the most valuable trade commodity on the offense. He might be the only valuable trade commodity on the offense. So,
I tried to think of somebody else, but
him being dangled. Yeah, I don't like him being dangled at all, period. Like,
what would
especially
you
with
get
the
from
fact
him?
of what we just talked. Well, there's been talk that they might get a first rounder or 2 first rounders for him, but even
Two first rounders is a stretch for me.
yeah, and I mean, you got to think about that at the least if that does come down the pipeline. But Jerry Jeudy has the potential to be one of, if not the best wide receiver in the league, simply from route running.
And we saw so many flashes of it this year. We've seen more this year from him than we have in his first 2 seasons.
Like, I swear he went out to Ocho Cinco and was just like, teach me your ways.
Right.
Because I have not seen feet. And I know that sounds, I'm not Rex Ryan with, a foot fetish. I'm just saying, I have not
so
seen
once you in Denver, though,
of an offensive line. Yes, we do. Bring your fetish and everything, bro. This is a liberal
We're
state.
accepting.
We don't judge. We do not judge, bro.
There are similar people here
I'm just
for
saying,
you.
I am not talking about Judy's feet because I have an obsession with them. I'm talking about Judy's feet because they are amazing in cleats. I don't care what they look like outside.
Hey, we have an obsession about those feet on the field.
Exactly. In cleats specifically. And the way he moves at the line of scrimmage to where he does not allow defenders to lock onto him and press him is some of the most impressive
it's not comparable
technique I have ever seen. Like, again, the only other player that I can say has a look like him is it's him and Ocho Cinco. And then
besides Ocho
else.
Cinco, it's uncomparable.
There's nobody else. Like those 2 guys and then everybody else. And so
I would
with that potential, and he's so cheap. He's so cheap.
Right.
Oh my God, he's still on his rookie deal.
Give him a year with Sean Payton. Give him a year with Payton.
Bro, with the way that Payton can scheme to get guys. This is the guy that gets open no matter how bad the offense is.
Right.
And he's going to be schemed to get open. Like, can you imagine the windows that he's going to be able to create for Russell Wilson? Like,
and this is going to be a Russ
driven.
This is going to be
you're wide open.
An offense built for Russ.
Yes.
And Jerry, no matter what offense you put Jerry Jeudy in,
y'all don't want to see my. I'm sorry, y'all don't want to see my data charts. I've
heard about it. I don't even want to see it.
Right? Like it's like litigation. It's like people suing doctors and like me figuring out is there a correlation between how much they get paid and what their gender is, or how much they get paid and whether they have insurance. Like nobody, like that's just, it's boring me and I'm saying it out of my mouth. So no, y'all don't want to see my data tables. They suck.
I would really, really love to see Jerry stay at, because especially he'll be coming up. Well, he's a first rounder, so that he'll have an option for 5th year after this season.
Well, they have to make.
They have to make it this offseason.
March 3rd or March 5th. I can't remember the exact deadline.
I feel like you got to pick it up.
It's actually a matter of days from now.
Yeah, you got to pick it up.
Yes, especially when you can do it for the $12 million option. Like if he would have got an All Pro and a Pro Bowl, then it would be $20 million. That's the difference.
Right?
Like because he's been so hurt and his numbers have been subpar, you can get him for the $12 million extension instead of the 20. So actually, you would gain $8 million in cap space next year as opposed to what his cap hit is this year. And then his cap hit this year is almost 19 mil.
Go out and get a bag. Go out and get your bag too. Go prove something next year. Dude, if he balls out next year, they sign him to a contract guarantee.
Oh yeah, like he won't even have to worry about that $12 million option.
Yeah.
It'll just be sitting there. Then they'll sign him to an
pocket
extension.
change.
Yeah, once he gets that new, if he balls out,
if he gets that new one, if
he gets, and like think about it, he was 30 yards short of a 1,000-yard season, and he missed almost 5 games, guys.
It's like Jay Sims being tied for first. It's like that reminds me of Jay Sims tied for first in interceptions, missed 5 games.
Yes. Or Derrick Henry last year, where he was the leading rusher until week 8 when he got hurt in week 3 or something like that.
He was still the leading rusher till like week 16.
Yeah, it was something like that. Yeah, it was like stupid. It was ridiculous.
I don't even remember who won the rushing title because I thought that was just the most fun. That was like the funniest thing.
Yeah, I forget. I think I want to say Dalvin Cook. I want to say Dalvin Cook.
I think you might be right.
Yeah, I think it was Dalvin Cook who finally got him. But yeah, but that's how we're viewing these things. That's how we think. Garrett Bowles.
Oh no! How did we forget this?
What?
I'm mad at both of us. It was Jonathan Taylor. How did we forget that?
Oh wow! Yeah, duh. That's why I picked him first overall, and he
had that nuts season, dude.
Yeah, it was stupid last year.
I'm mad at us for that.
I am too, considering I picked him number 1 overall in my fantasy draft.
I think you missed it for like
that
half
worked
a season.
out really well. Yeah, that worked out so well.
Dude, Kirk Cousins worked out for me. Thank God. Like he waited to choke until the playoffs.
Yeah, he's always been a great fantasy quarterback. He just hasn't been that great in real life, especially in the dark. I still contend that he needs a nightlight. Like I know the stadium's lit, but I think he needs his own personal nightlight and blankie, like
get him a headlamp.
And then maybe he'll be able to handle the dark. But no. So for real, Garrett Bowles. Sorry, we'll just wrap this up real quick. Garrett Bowles could be traded, and I'm okay.
You look at every option.
You look at every option. Exactly. Jerry Jeudy, no.
No.
Not under any circumstance unless somebody gives you an offer you just cannot refuse.
I don't even think Sean Payton's going to consider
firsts, right? Like you'd have to give up multiple firsts, multiple players. Like if you want Jeudy from me, I am going to take half your team and half your picks.
I am making sure
if you're going to give me that, then right.
Yeah.
Then I'll give you the guy. Right. But if you want to give me a Mike Ditka-like trade, we can talk. Other than that,
right.
I'm good. So
good trade. Oh my God.
An entire draft for one guy. But I digress. I think this is a good place for us to end. We're kind of running out of fumes here. So as always, we appreciate all of you. We love you. Thank you for coming in. Grandizer, the Bay, all of y'all are absolutely amazing. Thank you again. Make sure that you hit that like button. If you haven't already, if you like the content, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell icon. That way you get notified every time that we go live. And like I said, just hit all the red buttons, launch the nukes, all of you. I'm telling you, launch the nukes, clear the way so we can bring you the news the way you deserve it.
You got something something on your face there, Dan.
Oh, yeah? That made your finger look stupid long, dude. I'm sorry, but if I'm the only one trimmed, that makes your thing look like Pinocchio, bro.
Dude, if I had it on 0.25, like on the lens, dude. It would look long.
Like, dude, it was like go-go gadget finger. It just kept
I love doing that with my dogs, dude.
I'm sure. All right. But I got distracted by the go-go gadget finger. Sorry. Back to what I was saying. Let's go ahead and wrap this up. We went way off the rails here, man.
Oh, yeah.
As always, for the Breakin Broncos podcast, I'm your host, Dan Wetstein. That's the co-host, Dylan Miles. And for the answer is 42, you don't question the blue.